Hello, so today I'm going to be talking about serial killers and society's fascination with them and kind of the celebrity status we give them and how the media plays a role in that, as well as kind of the consumer culture we've built around it. So, first, I have a few articles. The first one is called Modern Serial Killers, and it's by Kevin D. Haggerty, who is a professor of sociology and criminology at the University of Alberta, Canada. And he talks in his article about the media and fascination of serial killers. And he talks a lot about how the media feeds the fascination because how much of an intimate relationship would the public really have without the media? For instance, the media covers murders, their trials, they make documentaries on it. It's all over. It's in Netflix. It's everywhere. You can find them on YouTube, in fact. And so it kind of feeds this fascination that we have with them, and they play a key role in building a sort of relationship in our mind with serial killers. And it also kind of makes you question, how much does the media really influence our fascination with certain subjects? And I think this article had several strengths because it definitely pointed out how big our fascination could be without the media, but also how big it really is with the media. And then the article also talks about kind of the celebrity status that we give to serial killers, and I think this definitely is a great word to describe it, because we kind of see Ted Bundy. Who's the big names? Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy. I could name hundreds. So it gives celebrity status to serial killers in a way. And it's kind of creepy almost. The next article that I have is Monsters, Inc. Serial Killers in Consumer Culture, and this is by Brian Jarvis. And he writes about the industry that's made from serial killers and the media. So in a way, we kind of create a consumer culture from serial killers. We buy into the fascination from the media, and then it builds a need, which builds a market, which we buy from, and it becomes a consumer product. And he talks a lot about how Hollywood plays into this, and how they sell a product based off of our fascination to the public. So a lot of movies get made about serial killers, and TV shows too. And that's the product, and we as viewers of this participate in consuming it, and we become the buyers. He also talks about the gendered norms that kind of come with serial killers and victims, and how serial killers are often portrayed in movies in Hollywood as more masculine and vicious and strong, whereas the victims are seen as more feminine in a way, where they're small and weak and doe-like, and they're not helping themselves in a way. So it kind of normalizes our fascination in a way. And then from the gendered norms, we get a typecast, and you see it a lot in movies where it's they look for certain people to play a role because they know what feeds our fascination. And then the final article that I found was called Murderabilia, Consuming Fame, and that was by David Schmid. And he dipped a lot into the market that we've kind of made for it, and how deep it really runs. So he talks about how famous serial killers create this demand of a product by the public. So we watch the news, and they cover the serial killers, and we find this fascination, and then the media makes more movies and stuff like that and feeds our fascination again. And then we get this demand for a product that creates a market. And I think it's really great. This article really touches on how the media feeds the fascination, which feeds the cycle. So then, he also goes into the types of products as well. So, you can actually find online action figures and artworks and writings and even personal belongings from serial killers that people buy, and there's an actual market for, which is insane. And I think the strengths of this article is that it acknowledges that much of the public's fascination comes from the shock factor that the media portrays. And you definitely see it a lot in the news. They cover the horrific parts of murder and stuff like that to shock the audience, and that feeds our fascination, which feeds into their fame, which feeds into the market that's made for it. And I think it's also important to note that the article also touches on how it becomes a subculture of celebrity serial killers, and how people just, it's a fascination for them. So they create this subculture, and they watch the movies, and then they buy the memorabilia. It's a whole cycle. Some of the things that I wish were in the articles, though, all three of them, I wish there was more info on the cycle. Each part touches on a different part of the cycle, in my opinion. So, like, the first article touches about how the media feeds it, and that's how we get the fascination. And then the second article kind of touches on, well, then the media takes that and takes it a step further and feeds it even more, and then we sort of get a sort of market for it in movies. And then once we're so hooked onto that fascination, it turns into a fame-like thing. And then we get the murderabilia, where we have these literal items that people are demanding a product of, and it creates a market for famous serial killers. And I think that's something that I wish there was more info on, is like the cycle of feeding the fame and the fascination. And